on how the Z Boys and the Z Girls can gain more popularity worldwide. So as we know, the Z Girls and the Z Boys, are also known as the Z Stars, are a multicultural and multinational pop group. They also symbolizes the Z generation, that's why they call Z Girls, so it's about the Generation Z. It's actually a great idea to put different countries into one group, not only because it offers a wide scope of audience that you could get, but also a lot of influences that you could put into your music. Both groups are composed of 7 countries, mainly the Philippines, Japan, Thailand, Taiwan, Indonesia, India, and Vietnam. The Z-Girls have released 3 singles, which are What Are You Waiting For, Fire Flame, and Streets of Gold. While the Z-Boys, they released No Limit and Holla Holla. Even though they gain popularity, there's still a lot of things they can do to improve or to become more popular. Not only in 7 countries they have, but also the whole world. So here are my ideas on how the Zenith Media could make the Z-Boys and the Z-Girls more popular. First is differentiate the 2 groups. Make them more unique and distinct from each other. First is a name change of the group. Having the same name, Z-Boys and Z-Girls, that is also too generic for a name. I mean, having the same kind of name makes us fans compare them to one another. And now that the Zenith has already finished getting the 2nd generation and about to start training them, the comparison will be more evident, not only with the Z-Boys and the Z-Girls, but with the Generation 1 and the Generation 2 Z-Stars. So for me, a name change could be beneficial on differentiating the boys from the girls. Next is lessen the interaction between the Z-Boys and the Z-Girls, unless that is Zenith's plan to make them as one group, like the Z-Stars. But for me, if they're going to be promoting them as a separate group like a Z-Boys and Z-Girls, they should lessen the interaction between the 2 groups. Some fans ship 2 members, like one from the Z-Boys and one from the Z-Girls. This may create an awkward relationship between the members. So having less interactions of the Z-Girls and the Z-Boys would actually help them. I'm not saying that they should not interact, but they should not interact in terms of when they're on TV or when they are in social media. They should limit the interaction between the groups. New members. For me, if the Z-Boys and the Z-Girls are planning to get the Korean audience, I think they should add a Korean member. So that if they actually did a Korean song, it would not feel awkward because there's a Korean member in the group. I mean, the Z-Girls are already amazing as they are. But I think having another member of Korean heritage would make them more popular with the Korean audience. With the Z-Boys, I think to differentiate them more from the Z-Girls is if they add more than just one. So I think if they add like 4 or 5 members more, like one Korean, of course, if they want to catch the Korean audience, they need a Korean member. A Chinese would help them get the Chinese audience. I mean, we already have a Taiwanese, but having a Chinese member would help get the Chinese audience from the mainland. Next is maybe a North Asian country like Kazakhstan. I know Kazakhstan is a country where K-pop is huge, so there's a lot of like K-pop dancers in that country. So having one would help them catch that audience also. And maybe they could get a Russian or a Kyrgyzstan, Singaporean, whatever it is. I mean, as long as they have a few more members to differentiate them from the Z Girls. In terms of the release of their music, Zenith should stop releasing Z Boys and Z Girls single at the same time. They need to like promote one like Z Girls single first, then we'll wait for 1 month and then we will release C Boys single next. So there will be no competition or cannibalism happening. With the new release of new music, they should produce new sound for the Z Boys and the Z Girls, better dance or choreography, and also they need to use their own languages.